Good evening, Hyderabad. Uh, Thank you for coming in today, taking time out. Thank you to Rai for having organized this in this beautiful city. My name is Niraj Jaipuria. Uh, just a slight brief introduction why you should be listening to me. I've actually spent the last 15, 16 years of my life dedicated to retail, especially focused in this area of retail analytics. And I founded this company called BIRetail, which offers a value to retailers out of the products and services that we do. So I have a very short time. I'm going to be very, very quick, and we can keep talking subsequently. Since the topic is about success in retail analytics, let me set the stage. Firstly, what is retail analytics? So very simply, uh, analytics is the ability to make smarter decisions, more data-driven decisions, which should ultimately help your business. Now, if that is analytics, how do you define success? So success is not the ability to get reports out of your data. While that is the starting point, but you should be able to quantify measures that you see like this on the screen right now, which are actual business parameters that matter. How do we get there? Of course, it's a very, very long journey, and I'm going to start with a few things, and we can take the conversation offline, whoever's interested, right? So straight jumping into the main aspect, the myths and the mantras that I promised. Let's start with myth number one. Let me start with a show of hands. How many in this audience are retailers? Okay, that's quite a few. Now the second question is, how many of you retailers are actually practicing analytics in your business today? Okay, that's good. But the proportion of hands that went up to the second question were probably 20%, right? But let me tell you, actually, I am 100% sure each of you retailers over here are practicing some form of analytics. I've heard this statement from a lot of retailers that I already have a BI and I'm sorted. But let me tell you, all of us do some form of reporting, even if it is in Excel. Doesn't matter. The tool is not important. If you are doing some form of reporting, even if it is in Excel, you already have a BI. But that still doesn't mean that you're sorted, because if you were sorted, you probably wouldn't be wasting your time listening to me today. So there is a gap. There is so much more that you can do with your data, and let's discuss that. That is the first thing. The second thing is, please remember, BI is not that piece of software that you use, right? Whatever it is, it could be Excel, it could be a BI tool, a software, a SaaS-based product that you use, but that is not BI. BI is the process. It's a journey. It's the process of taking your data and actually achieving some measurable business benefits out of it. It's a long journey, right? So if you have data, you need to start doing reporting. If you're doing reporting already, you've got to make your reports smarter. And I'll be talking about what are smart reports. If you already have smart reports, right, you've got to start getting inferences, insights out of those reports. If you already have insights coming out of your reports, you've got to start using AI ML techniques to start getting recommendations coming out of it. So it is a journey, and let's see if we can talk about the journey a little more in detail, right? That takes me to the second myth. I'll give you a few seconds to read this. Data is the most valuable resource in your company, and I'm calling it a myth. When I started my journey with retail analytics 15 years ago, this was mantra number one for me. So what has changed? What has changed is, unfortunately, the way data and the importance of data is misunderstood in a retail organization. That is really what has changed. Today as retailers, what do we all do, right? We get data, sales data, supply data, purchase data, stock data. We bring all of that into an Excel. We've got a huge Excel, probably 50 columns, probably 10,000 rows. And then we are looking at that Excel, and we are saying, let's see what problems I can spot in this, right? This is a case of putting the putting the cart before the horse. And what is wrong in that? So let me tell you the analogy of this with an anecdote from this classic called Alice in Wonderland. Alice, you know, has fallen down the rabbit hole and she's trying to find her way back to the garden. In the course of her journey, she meets a lot of interesting characters. One of the characters is this Cheshire cat, right? So what is important for you to know is the Cheshire cat in that story is a metaphor for Alice's inner conscience. Cheshire cat is supposed to be Alice's friend, philosopher, and guide. In the story at one point, Alice is asking the Cheshire cat, tell me which road should I take? So the cat asks her, where do you want to go? And Alice said, oh, that doesn't matter as long as I get somewhere. So to that, the cat said, in that case, Alice, any road will take you there, right? So what is the analogy? We as retailers, we are Alice, right? And the data that we collect is the Cheshire cat. So when you ask a sensible, intelligent, and pointed question to your data, the data can give you great insights. But when you ask a random question, then honestly the data becomes useless to you. In one line, if I was to summarize this, please understand that data is your Sudarshan Chakra. It is not your Krishna. So stop thinking that data is going to be your savior. Once you stop thinking of that, you'll start focusing on the problems that you want to solve. And if you get there, then that same data is going to be your strongest tool to find solutions. Right? So with this, let's go on. I promised you 3 myths. I've given you 2. I'll come back to the third. But let's focus on the mantras because this is in continuation to what my last conversation was. Right? Define the problem, define root cause workflows, and then build the report. So don't start thinking from what report I need to build. What you need to focus on is to say, what do I want to achieve? What's the objective? And I'll exemplify that, right? As retailers, one of our biggest objectives is to increase sales, right? So what is stopping us from increasing sales? Think of the problems. I could have stores which are not doing well because of which my sales is dropping. I could have merchandise items, SKUs, which are not doing well because of which my sales is dropping, right? So let's begin with these problems. Let's say I want to find out if I have stores which are not doing well. So now we look at a listing of our stores, right? And we try and identify stores which are not doing well. How do we identify stores which are not doing well? Very simple, right? You can look at sales of a store, compare it with sales last year's stores which are doing negative growth. Please forget COVID for now. Stores which are doing negative growth are probably stores which are not doing well. Alternately, I'm sure all of you set targets for your stores. So stores which are doing less than 80% of your target could be stores which are not doing well, right? Now, even if you get a listing of stores which are not doing well, does that solve your problem? It doesn't, because for me, that's really the beginning of my problem, because now I want to know what happened, why did this happen, and what can I do? So that is the whole process of what we call root cause analysis. If I see a listing of stores which are not doing well, I'd like to dig down into that store and say, which are the categories not doing well? Which are the items which are not doing well? Suppose I identify a few items or SKUs or categories which are not doing well. My next instinctive belief as a retailer is to say, if it's not doing well, is it a stocking problem? Because inventory very often happens to be the reason why sales drops. So I've got to figure out if there was an inventory related issue. Now, how do I find out if there was an inventory related issue? Yeah, stock value, stock quantity, those are typical metrics. But I can't look at current stock. Looking at current stock will tell me today, but my sales dropped the last 4 weeks. So look at back stock. And a classic case for that is to identify if those items where sales dropped, did they run out of stock? So you can get number of instances in the last month that an item ran out of stock. That would give you an insight. Now you are actually getting down from saying stores not doing well to actually finding out the root cause of why something did not do well, right? I have exemplified one workflow for you, and if you will observe, that while actually analyzing the business problem, I have pegged data points at various steps, right? I said growth compared to last year. I said achievement percentage. I said number of instances of stock out, etc. So this is really intuitive, because if you stop thinking of a report and start thinking of a business problem and the way you would analyze it, the data points will fall in place automatically, and then honestly, rebuilding the report is the easiest job. I'll move on to mantra number 2. Action is the keyword here. Now, in the last example, I said we found out that there are certain stores, certain items which are not doing well because they ran out of stock. But knowing that insight, having that inference, does that really change your business? Does it make your business better? It will make your business better if you take that inference and you get the merchandiser or the category head to actually identify stock needs to be sent to the store, a requisition has to go to the warehouse has actually got to send the merchandise to the store has to receive it, the store has to put it out on display, then and only then will your business start improving. So therefore, the action part of analytics is the last mile problem. And unless the last mile problem is given equal importance, you'll still find a gap in actually achieving that success in retail analytics. So how do we do this? Well, a lot of analytics tools nowadays have actually started building in some sort of robotic process automation, RPAs that we call it. Within the analytics tool, we at BIRetail, we have a trademarked technology that we call transactive analytics, which actually helps you to carry out or initiate the action from the same report where you're seeing the inference, and not just track, but keep tracking that action that you initiated, whether it got done in the next X days, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. Right? So the third mantra. I told you that BI is a journey, right? And it can get intimidating. So how do you go about it? We've had a lot of retailers who we've consulted, given them direction, and they've had internal teams or the internal desire and the bandwidth to actually do this journey step by step by themselves. But we've also had a lot of retailers who've actually decided that this is the need of a specialist, and then they've called in retail consultants and got it done with their help. Now, what we've noticed is, on an average, a retailer who takes up this journey by themselves tend to spend 3x to 4x more time than they would if they got it done with the help of specialists, right? So the question all of you have to ask yourself is, what is the cost you put to achieving something in 12 months' time that you could have achieved in 3 months' time? I don't know the answer. Each person, each of you would need to probably find the answer for yourself and measure it against the cost of probably getting another getting another consultant to help you do this, and ultimately find your own equilibrium, right? But whenever you do that, please do not underestimate the value of your time. And finally, with my 3 mantras, I had one myth remaining. Let's get back to that. I think it's the most common statement I hear from people. Some retailers tell this to me on my face. Some of them disguise it, saying that, we are too small, we are not ready, it's not the right time for us. So my take has been, and this comes out of a little bit of experience, my take has been that it is never the wrong time for starting a BI. I have told you in the last 5-7 minutes that BI is a journey. But while I've said that you've got to think big, please remember, I'm always trying to say that you've got to start small. So why do you think BI is expensive? I don't. I'll give you an example, right? The first step of BI is actually reporting, smart reporting. I think I would say most of you are already there. What's the next step for all of you after reporting? So I would say it is this concept of inferencing. And if you spend a little time and effort, you can build inferencing into your reports. Once you build inferencing into your reports, you will start seeing actual business measures improving. You might see your sales go up by 0.3%. You might see your out of stock instances reduced by 2.5%. All of this is actually going to bring in money to your top line and bottom line. Take that money that you're earning out of this first step, plow back a bit of that back into your analytics initiative, maybe spend some amount of that money into getting your first AI ML model built, some recommendation that is a big problem area for you. Get that built. With that, you'd see a big spurt in maybe your business outcomes, your top line, bottom line, inventory holding cost, supply chain costs, etc. So effectively what I'm saying is, if you do this correctly, then every stage of the journey of BI is kind of going to pay or fund the next stage. And this is not hearsay. We've done this. We have retailers who will vouch for this. So please don't think that you will start on your BI tomorrow, because today is the day, right? And even if you need to go to consultants or specialist companies who can help you with this BI journey, I would still say it is a myth that they are expensive. I mean, look at me, I'm here standing, I'm giving you free gyan, and it's not just here, but I'm available, I love to talk, and I don't charge for talking, so please feel free to talk to me. But jokes aside, in spite of that, I think if you go to any consultant who's worth his salt, he's actually going to tell you to take it one step at a time. Most often you'd see that you'd get a lot of value engaging with the consultant to get your blueprint in place. And once you've got a blueprint in place, probably you can actually do it yourself. All right, so with this, I'm going to stop. I'm going to conclude my 3 minutes, 3 mantras. I'm sorry, it's a very short time, so no time for Q&A, but I'm available. Please feel free to talk to me. In case you want to reach out, we are available at this. Yeah. Thank you so much, gentlemen.